People want to love American Express, but a lot of people have a hard time doing so because American Express can be confusing. When it comes to the earning side, American Express is super easy. You can rack up a ton of points from the multipliers on the cards, or from the big welcome offers, or from going through the shopping portal Rakuten. But when it comes to the redeeming side, when many people are looking at their American Express points and trying to figure out how to redeem them, it's like they're trying to decipher a whole new language. I understand that it can be challenging to redeem your American Express points. So in this video, what I'm going to do is go over some easy ways to redeem your American Express points for good value. But before I get into how to redeem your membership reward points for good value, I'm going to go over the different ways that American Express has to redeem your points for bad value. And unfortunately, there are a ton of ways to redeem your points for bad value that you want to avoid. The most common bad way to redeem your membership reward points would be for a statement credit. Way too many people redeem their membership reward points for a statement credit. And unfortunately, when you are doing this, at the very least, cutting the value of your points in half. So if you've done this before, you don't want to continue to do this into the future. Amazon is also another terrible way to redeem your membership reward points. You may have noticed that when you link one of your American Express cards to your Amazon account, that they'll give you the option to be able to redeem your points to be able to make that Amazon purchase. Do not click that option. If you ever see an easy option to redeem your membership reward points, you always want to avoid it because when American Express makes it easy, they usually end up making it so that you're getting terrible value for your redemption. The only time where it's not bad to use your membership reward points with Amazon is when American Express and Amazon have a special promotion where if you use your membership reward points, you can get a discount on an Amazon purchase. But typically you only need to use like one membership reward point and the discount can end up being like 40%. So if you buy something and the discount can be like up to $50 and you can get 40% off on that purchase, then sure, it will make sense to use one membership reward point to be able to get that $50 off from your purchase. But they're only doing this because they want you to recognize that you have the ability to redeem your membership reward points with Amazon, which if you do after this promotion's over, you're gonna be getting poor value for your points. So if you can take advantage of it when there is a promotion, fine, go ahead and do it that way. But any other time, you want to avoid it. Getting terrible or poor value for your points means that you're redeeming your membership reward points for under a penny a point. So if you were to buy something on Amazon that cost $80, but they're requiring 10,000 points, well, that ends up being poor value for your points because you should at the very least be getting $100 in value for your 10,000 points. If you're not at least getting 1 penny per point, then you might as well have a cashback setup because that cashback will almost always be fixed to being 1 cent per point or 1 penny of cashback being 1 penny to be able to cash out. Now, I've spoken with people who've done this before, and they seem somewhat angry at American Express that they're even able to redeem their points for such terrible value. But the thing about American Express is that they're not hiding that they're giving you poor value for your points. You can actually end up going onto their website, and they can show you your redemption value for if you redeem your points with all different options that are available to American Express. And what you'll realize when you check out this page is that the vast majority of the options to redeem your points are for under 1 penny per point. Look, if you redeem with Best Buy, Grubhub, Saks Fifth, or PayPal, all of these are going to give you a redemption value of 0.7 cents per point. I don't even really mind that American Express gives you the different options to redeem with these different programs. The issue I have is that when you go on these different programs' websites, American Express will be pushing it all the time, and I always feel like I'm going to accidentally click the button and unfortunately redeem my membership reward points for 0.7 cents per point on some random PayPal order that I made. Gift cards are mainly just as bad, giving you either $70 or $80 in a gift card towards the company that you choose for 10,000 membership reward points. I don't know if anyone else remembers this, but years ago, when I used to redeem my Discover cashback that I got, you could do it with gift cards, and they would give you like either a 10 or a 25% boost towards that gift card that you purchase. So if I wanted to get, say, a $100 gift card towards Domino's, it would only end up costing me $80 in cash back to be able to get that. But for some weird reason with American Express, you have to pay more in points to get less of a value for a gift card. And if I had to guess, American Express most likely isn't even paying full value for these gift cards. So they're probably making a killing every single time someone redeems their membership reward points for a gift card through American Express. I find it hilarious that American Express sells their own gift cards on their website, and it will require 10,000 membership reward points to get a $50 American Express gift card. This is even worse than redeeming your membership reward points for a statement credit. This whole section of redemptions is just relying on people not paying attention. And unfortunately, many banks rely on people just not paying attention to when it comes to either earning or redeeming points, because if people did, they would clearly see that this does not make any sense to actually do. Now, when we move over to the section Book Travel, we finally get to a place where it actually makes sense to redeem your membership reward points. Because if you redeem 10,000 membership reward points through travel, you will get $100 in value. But even though it says that you are getting $100 in value, it mainly means based off of what American Express is charging for that redemption. So what I mean by this is that you may end up booking a flight through American Express that would end up costing 10,000 points or $100. But if you end up going on to the airline's actual website, that same exact flight could end up being $93. So American Express is overcharging you for it, and even though they say that you are getting $100 in value, that's based off of what they're pricing that flight at as compared to what the airline itself is pricing that flight at. Sometimes it is the same price, but you should always check and compare prices. If you get the American Express Charles Schwab Platinum card, this is a card that allows you to redeem your membership reward points at 1.1 cents per point when you redeem them to your Charles Schwab brokerage account. So while this isn't the best way of redeeming your membership reward points, this is at least a reasonable redemption, giving you above 1 cent per point. But not everyone has the Charles Schwab Platinum card. If you just have the regular Platinum card, you could look at redeeming your membership reward points through American Express's Fine Hotels and Resorts and the Hotel Collection, because typically when you do that, you will end up getting 1 cent per point for your redemption value there. Now again, this isn't the best way to redeem your points, but booking through American Express's Fine Hotels and Resorts and Hotel Collection can end up being a great way to get a lot of extra value. Like say for example, you booked a 2-night stay through the Hotel Collection at a property that is in Vietnam. Well, Vietnam doesn't have really expensive properties, so you could probably end up booking a hotel stay there for under 15,000 points a night. And if you end up booking 2 nights there with the Hotel Collection, you get a $100 property credit. So that means that if it costs 15,000 points a night and it ends up costing you 30,000 points for the 2 nights, even if this property does cost $300 for the 2-night stay, when you add in that $100 property credit, this ends up making the value of redeeming your points through the Fine Hotels and Resorts and the Hotel Collection kind of like being more than 1 cent per point because you are getting that additional $100 that you get to use at that property. But the best way to redeem your membership reward points is going to be that way that people rave about all the time, and this is going to be to transfer over to transfer partners. Yes, that confusing way that you know exists, but you haven't dived deep enough to actually figure out exactly how to take full advantage of it. I understand that it is confusing, but in this video, I'm going to do the best that I can to make it easy for you to understand how to redeem your membership reward points with the different partners that are connected to American Express. So most people are looking for domestic travel, and right off the bat, this is where it can start to become confusing. Because the domestic partners that are popular with American Express that you'll end up seeing are going to be partners like Delta and JetBlue. And while these are super popular domestic airlines that are partnered with American Express, these are ones that you probably aren't going to want to transfer to, except for maybe on specific occasions. The reason for this is because American Express adds a tax when it comes to transferring over your membership reward points over to a domestic airline. Now this tax does end up getting capped at $100 if you decide to transfer over. I think it's like over 160,000 points at one go. But just know that there is going to be this tax that you're going to have to pay, which is very annoying that no other bank adds on when you are transferring your points. But outside of the tax, another reason why you're not going to want to transfer to these domestic transfer partners is going to be because the return you're going to be getting when you are redeeming those points with these partners is not going to be very great. Because both JetBlue and Delta are either working with dynamic pricing or their pricing is going to be very fixed to the cash cost, which means that there isn't many outsized value ways to redeem the points with these different airlines. So if that is the instance, unless you are getting a really high redemption value, that's not going to make a ton of sense to transfer over your points to these different programs because you're not really going to be winning out by doing so. So what I mean by that is that if you had something like the Charles Schwab card and you decide to just cash out your points and then use that cash to make the purchases for these flights, you probably end up winning out in most instances doing that versus actually transferring the points over to these different programs. If you look at a program like JetBlue, they don't even have a 1-to-1 transfer ratio with American Express. So if you did decide to transfer your points over to them, you'd have to be getting over 2 cents per point in value for your JetBlue miles as a redemption for it to even really make sense, which is something that you're not going to be getting. Now with Delta, while they do have a 1-to-1 transfer ratio, it mainly won't make sense as well to transfer your membership reward points over to Delta. However, there are some instances where if you happen to have a Delta card that is going to be giving you a 15% discount, that it could end up making sense to transfer your membership reward points over to your Delta account if there is a Delta flight that you want to book. I know that most people will tell you that this ends up being a bad way to go about it because you can get way more value for your points, and I do agree that you can end up getting way more value for your points. But if all you want to do is just book Delta flights and you happen to have a lot of membership reward points and you also have a Delta card and you see that you can get better value with transferring your membership reward points over to your Delta account as compared to just cashing out your membership reward points and booking that Delta flight, then I would say transfer your points to your Delta account. Again, do the math to make sure that this does make sense, But if this is how you actually wish to fly, then compare the prices to see whether or not this is the best way to go about doing it. But always remember that when you aren't using cash, you're not earning points. Whereas if you decide to cash out your points with the Charles Schwab card and then use that cash to book the flights, you're also earning points, which should be factored in as well. The best way to book domestic flights is going to be by transferring your membership reward points to the international transfer partners. Now, I know when I say that, it comes off as confusing, but I promise you, I'm going to make it easy for you to understand. The first thing you need to know is where you're flying to and where you're coming from. Once you have that information, you can figure out which airlines actually fly these routes. And then once you figure out which airline takes this route, you need to see what alliance that airline is a part of. So if it is United, United is part of Star Alliance. So although United is not partnered with American Express, Aeroplan is partnered with American Express, and Aeroplan is also part of Star Alliance. So what you would do is you would go to Aeroplan's website and see if Aeroplan has an ability to be able to make this award booking for this United flight. Because when United decides to open up award availability to its partners, Aeroplan should see the award availability on their website. And then how you know you're getting a good value redemption is that you want to get over 1.5, closer to 2 cents per point for your redemption. So if you see that there's a United flight that would cost you $200 one way to fly, or it would cost you 7,500 Aeroplan miles plus $40 in taxes and fees, this wouldn't be a bad redemption at all to make, and this can be one that could give you good value for your points. So United is part of Star Alliance, and that's when you want to look at Aeroplan. If you want to look for Delta, you would look for SkyTeam partners. And the easy SkyTeam partner to look at would end up being Virgin Atlantic. Do the exact same process that I gave for United, where you would go onto Virgin Atlantic's website, check the dates of the Delta flight, and then see if you can make the redemption with Virgin Atlantic miles for cheaper than what Delta would be charging. If that ends up being the case, then it would make more sense to transfer your points to Virgin Atlantic as compared to either transferring to Delta or just cashing out your points and using the cash to book the flight. Now, if you want to book an American Airlines flight, there's actually a lot of ways to book them. But for me to make it the easiest for you, I would say to look at Qatar's website. Qatar has decent pricing for booking American Airlines flights, and it's not very confusing to be able to figure out. Are there better ways to book American Airlines flights, either with Alaskan Airlines or Finnair? Sure, but those are going to take more steps, and I think you should start looking at that when you start to become more advanced in understanding how to redeem points. Because with Finnair, while they're not a direct transfer partner to American Express, you can do a backdoor way of transferring to them by linking your British Airways account to your Finnair account, transferring over your membership reward points to your British Airways account, and then moving them over to your Finnair account. And then if you actually did want to make the booking, you also would have to call up Finnair, which I know is something that not a lot of people want to do. As you can see, this is more steps and also more complicated as compared to just transferring over to Qatar. So that's the reason why I would say just go with Qatar to begin. And the same thing with Alaska, where it is a backdoor transfer way from American Express membership reward points, because Alaska is not a direct transfer partner. I have an entire video going over Alaska miles and also how to do this process. So if you did want to learn that, you could check out that video on my channel. But when it comes down to giving you a good deal that's also easy, I would say to first check out Qatar Airways. But when it comes to domestic award travel, you typically aren't going to get crazy cents per point because domestic flights aren't outrageously priced as compared to international flights. Sure, domestic flights can end up being expensive, but usually if you compare it to international business and first class flights, those things are just in a whole nother league. The best way to redeem with the transfer partners for domestic flights is when there is a flight that you need to book that isn't super far in advance. Because usually when it is super far in advance, the cash cost isn't going to be outrageously high for domestic travel, but when you are looking to book something that ends up being maybe 2 to 3 weeks in advance, the domestic cash cost could jump like $200 or $300. So in that instance, it can make a ton of sense to take advantage of these international transfer partners connected to American Express, because usually when it is a more close-in flight, you will be getting somewhere along the lines of 2 cents per point or more in value for your membership reward points. But say you happen to see that there is a route that you wish to take and there is American Airlines flying and also United flying and Delta flying. You don't want to have to go on all these different airlines' websites to try to figure out who has the best price. Well, what you can end up doing is using a search tool like Points Yeah that can end up saving you a ton of time. Points Yeah is going to be very similar to like Expedia. The only difference with it is going to be that instead of them showing you the different cash costs, they're going to end up showing you the different points deals that are available for the date and route that you wish to take. Points Yeah is pretty easy, and while it isn't perfect, I think that it ends up being great for beginners and definitely is really good for domestic travel. But if you want to book international flights, there are a lot of easy ways you can do that with transfer partners and get yourself good value for your membership reward points. Now, to get the best deals, you have to work with the availability. If you are someone who says, I want to fly from Los Angeles over to Paris in business class for 3 people on July 16th. I haven't looked to see if that is available, but my guess is that it either isn't available, or if it is, the points cost is going to end up being pretty high. So to try to make this award booking easier, what you'd want to do if you want to fly in business class over to Paris is first figure out if you are willing to either change the date or change the airport that you're going to be flying out of. Because if you end up doing either one of these things, it could end up saving you hundreds of thousands of membership reward points that you would have to transfer over to either Air France or Virgin Atlantic to be able to book this award flight. But to make this easy, let's first just look at booking this directly with the airline. So say you want to book a flight to get over to Paris, and the main focus is just to get to Paris. Well, what you would do is you would go to Air France's website, and you don't want to actually put in a date. What you want to do is leave that blank, because then what's going to end up happening is that's going to open up an award calendar that's going to show you the cheapest prices for the type of class that you're wishing to fly in. So I see here that the cheapest cost in economy would end up being 25,000 points for a one-way flight. Now I also see that if you wanted to book a one-way flight in business class from Los Angeles, it ended up being 156,000 flying Blue miles. Now while that's not the most expensive, that is still pretty expensive if you want to fly from Los Angeles. But if you're okay with repositioning to say Minneapolis, there's multiple business class seats you can book to go from there over to Paris for 60,000 points on July 21st. So the points cost to book all 3 seats from Minneapolis over to Paris is only a little bit more expensive as compared to just booking one business class seat from LAX over to Paris. Now it's not the exact July 16th date that I named earlier, and it also isn't LAX, but if you can make some wiggle room, you could be able to book these business class seats over to Paris. And this is the thing that you need to know about booking international award flights, is that what makes it easy is going to be flexibility. It isn't that people like myself have extra award availability. What it is that we see awards that are available, and then we end up making a trip around those award deals. So if you still want to fly to Paris in business class, there are options, but you would have to reposition to get over to Minneapolis. Now, if you want to fly direct from LAX over to Paris, there may end up being award availability that will pop up, but the dates might end up being sometime in February. So honestly, a lot of times it does come down to what are you willing to give up to get these good deals? Because it's rare that people who are redeeming their membership reward points with partners are getting everything that they want. They're not redeeming at the lowest cost and going at the exact time that they want, and they're only booking just a few months before. Typically what ends up happening, they either just go to where the deal is, or they end up booking it very far in advance, or they end up repositioning to a different airport as compared to their main airport, or they decide to pay the additional points that are required to be able to book out of going out of their main airport. Could you get everything perfect on the first search? I have, and it does happen. But typically how it goes is that you're going to be giving up something to get the lowest deals and best routes during the hottest time of the year. For myself, who's more advanced in this game, I've found that finding award availability really isn't that hard. What is hard is finding award availability from your exact airport at the exact time that you wish to go. So if you're willing to be flexible, it can make booking with transfer partners so much easier. Now, I'm not telling you that if you happen to live in New York that you should backtrack to Seattle to then fly over to Paris to get yourself the best deal. I don't think that that's worth it. But what I am saying is that say you happen to live somewhere in the middle of America and you end up seeing an award deal going out of Denver. Well, if you've ever had to connect through Denver before, then it shouldn't be an issue to have to do it this time for this type of deal that you can take advantage of. And again, if you want to save yourself some time, go to pointsci.com because it makes award searching for people who are beginners way easier. So to recap, you don't want to redeem your membership reward points for any of the ultra easy ways that American Express allows you to. Because if you do end up doing it those ways, you're probably going to end up getting yourself below 1 cent per point in value for your membership reward points. This ends up being a terrible way of redeeming them. You want to take advantage of the transfer partners that are connected to American Express. And it doesn't have to be complicated. All you need to know is just one of the international transfer partners that's connected to the airline that you wish to travel with. And if you can see that you're going to be getting 2 cents per point in value with that redemption, then you want to transfer over to that airline once you end up seeing that there is award availability to be able to make this booking. And if you are looking to redeem for international travel, then flexibility is going to be key. So stop redeeming with Amazon and getting yourself gift cards, and now start looking to try to redeem to take yourself an awesome adventure. But hopefully you enjoy this video. Let me know in the comment section down below, what are the easiest ways that you like to redeem your membership reward points that give you good value? And what's one of the worst ways that you redeem your membership reward points? Now, if you happen to have any questions, you can drop it down in the comment section down below. I'll do the best I can to answer it. If you happen to be interested in any cards, check out my links in the description box down below to learn more. If you do decide to use any of my links, it does really help out the channel, and I'm incredibly thankful for your support. If you want to become a Points Miles booking expert, Go to Points Travel 101 to purchase my course. After completing my course, you will feel confident with booking business and first-class flights all over the world. If you happen to realize this video, do me a favor. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this video, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Peace.